Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Tuesday Collective Spotlight live here from the back studio here in the store in beautiful Altamont Springs, Florida. We got a cool front today. So, any of you guys that are not in Florida, it got like a smidge below 95 today. So, it's very nice for us. So thank you for joining us, the Collective Spotlight. We are on issue or episode 10. We have, at least according to Steven's math, it may be 11, maybe 12. But we finally made it to double digits where we've been showcasing indie creators, including people that are on our collective initiative shelf. Today, we are bringing you the localist local that we've got, which is Trey Walker, who's right here in Altamont Springs, and then Hoyt Silva, who's also a Floridian, I believe Tallahassee and beyond. But I'm going to go ahead and bring out Trey and Hoyt. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, Hello. Doing all right. Yay, how's it going?
Good. So we're some of our people that came out for Free Comic Book Day may be familiar with Trey. Trey was here during the morning selling the book, Last Stop. But Hoyt, you are new to our audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You are the artist on the book, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Artist, co-creator. It's kind of hard to draw the line between Trey and I whenever we work together on stories because we go back and forth like so much, you know. But like, so we kind of just say we're the storytellers kind of thing. But yeah, he wrote the book and he's incredible. I did spend like 10 years living in Tallahassee. I went to high school and college out there. I'm originally from New York and then PA as well. And I currently live in Atlanta. So peace up, 8-Town down. Yeah.
So Steven, our other registered jockey here, is from PA as well. So I'm sure you guys can talk a little bit about that stuff whenever we get you in store. But tell me, I know you guys don't just work on Last Stop together. You guys work on some webtoons as well. How did you guys get to working together? How did that relationship start? Whichever one of you guys wants to take the lead on that.
I'll let Trey start on that one. Go ahead, dude. You got it.
Yeah, we met like shortly after high school. We had a bunch of similar friends group, stuff like that. And this was back in like the mid 2000s, I guess. We didn't really so we were friends, but I really think our friendship kind of grew a little bit deeper once we kind of started to learn that we were both interested in storytelling. We kind of took the plunge together in terms of starting to work together. I think it was like 2012. I posted some dumb, sappy crap on Facebook about how, I don't know, I was feeling unfulfilled creatively and just didn't really know what I wanted to do. And like Hoyt reached out to me and got kind of like kicked everything off.
Yeah, it was like a two-way road because like at the time Trey was wanting to get into writing and I needed scripts to do portfolios so that I could try to get comic work because I was trying to start doing comics at that point. And so when I saw his post online, I was like, well, dude, if you want to write, you know, like I need stuff to draw. So you just write stuff and whatever you want to write, like I will draw that for my portfolio. And then it sort of took on a life of its own. Like we just started to realize that was more fun. I started to realize that was more fun than working with like random other people and all kinds of stuff. And so it just like grew from there. Yeah.
That's awesome. And like you guys definitely, hey Pops. So Pops is admin in one of the groups. I think Trey is in, but Pops is watching. But yeah, hey, man, your guys, first of all, you guys, like I said, work on multiple books. A lot of indie creators might work on a core book that they get together and then eventually, you know, start working with other artists or other writers. But it seems like you guys worked on Last Stop. You guys are currently working on 2 webtoons, if I'm not mistaken, together.
Yeah, we did. We have a short story that we did, which is called Seasons Change, and then we have an ongoing series called Mongrel that we're doing. We have a lot of fun with how we work on stuff, and like you're talking about that relationship of just one project. I think that was like never destined for us because we kind of like from the jump decided we were going to do a 1-for-1 thing. Where like, you know, for Last Stop, I came to Trey and I was like, okay, I've got this idea for the story I want to do. Here's the bare bones, like go nuts, you know. And then Trey did an awesome job writing it. And then, you know, as a trade-off, the next one, I was just like, all right, dude, your turn. Like, what do you want to do? And he just, you know, pitched me the idea to Mongrel, and we went from there. So
that's awesome. So the book that we have in store is Last Stop. Trey has talked a lot about it because he came by the store, he sold it to us. I've heard him talk to all of our customers about it. But let me hear it from you, Hoyt. Tell me about Last Stop. Give me that like a little bit longer than an elevator pitch. It doesn't have to be an elevator pitch, but tell me about Last Stop from your perspective.
Okay. So Last Stop to me is like basically what I always wanted out of like a superhero story. I like things that end. I like endings to have this like intense sort of like lasting, I don't know, to punch you in the gut basically. And I kind of feel like a lot of mainstream comics miss out on that opportunity because they end up just taking things back to the status quo so that they continue to publish. I mean, it makes sense for what they do, you know, but I always feel like some of those stories just lacked a little bit of that, like, just, I don't know, some of that oomph. And so Last Stop started off as this idea, like the idea started off as like, okay, well, what if this was Captain America's like last ride, you know? And that was like the birth of it. And it just sort of evolved from there, you know, obviously because Marvel never let me do a story where Captain America has cancer and an illegitimate daughter and like all kinds of stuff. Like they would not let me roll with that. So we just decided to take it on our own, you know, and at its heart, it's like, it has all of what I consider the tropes of like a superhero story, you know, passing the mantle and all kinds of other things. But we just wanted to take that like to the very end, like to where we thought that was like, okay, this is like the coolest and the most awesome way that you could tell that like classic superhero story. So we wanted to do something that hadn't been done before, to be honest. That was one of those things too. I think whenever we get together and we start kicking around ideas, whenever we hit a note that's like, man, I've never heard that before, that's like where we run off with it. You know, it's just like, that thing, you know, how do we go from there? So.
Well, and what, when Trey, I remember, if I'm not mistaken, it's still stuck with me. When Trey came into the store with the book and I said, all right, so, you know, sorry, I don't know much about it. Tell me about it. And he's like, you know, it's, you know, they have superpowers, but they also have a terminal illness. And it's like, what would you do with your last week on Earth? And what would your legacy be? And am I kind of right? That's how I've been telling customers about it as well.
Yeah, 100%. That's like on the nose, you know, that's like what we wanted. Like you said, like that's the thing is like, anytime I've ever been at a convention or talked to anybody who was interested in the book and, you know, you say that first line of like, okay, it's, you know, he's the world's last superhero and he finds out he has cancer and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do with his time left. Everybody I've ever said that to is just like, wait, what? Like, how does that work? How do you do that? You know? So, yeah, just from there, it grew. So
Trey, tell me about, and I know you guys are the co-creators together, but I know you're the writer. Tell me how you decided that you guys were going to go with it being a terminal illness that was going to limit their time and kind of what the thought process went behind that and kind of building that story that you guys have.
Well, when Hoyt kind of pitched the idea, he actually had a rough outline of like the whole story. So the idea that there would be like the terminal illness, the cancer and everything, that was like baked into his like pitch coming to me. So like I knew that was the parameters that we would already be working in. He already had such like a strong finish. And so it was just, and then, you know, like we just walked back, where do we start the story then, knowing where we're going to end it. But for me, just when I was working on it and everything, like it really did kind of become like kind of like what you said, like legacy became a very important theme to me. Like obviously like what you leave behind when you go and kind of knowing that you're going to go and trying to kind of build to that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that was like one of the funnest parts about it is that like I knew the ending, you know, I didn't quite know how we were going to get there. And like I said earlier, I'm like a man of endings. So like when I thought of that ending, I was like, oh man, this is so cool. Like this has never been done before, but I don't know how to get there. And so, yeah, we started building like from there to like try to get there. And the cancer thing came from, I had actually a couple of my aunts pass from various types of cancer. And I had an aunt actually who inspired me basically to do comics, to actually just take the leap and try it out. She was passing with, she had cancer, and then she went and got her treatment done. And when she was going through the treatment, she mentioned that like she had never been to Disneyland. And so she never wanted, my family's from Brazil. So she was saying that she never wanted, she didn't want to die without getting to meet Mickey. And so I guess like my family put together this whole thing to get her this whole cruise to go and go to Disney once she was like, when she was good to go. But then she went into remission and got it again and ended up passing like a few days before she would have actually went on the cruise. And and so that kind of hit me where I was like, okay, well, I don't want to have like a Disneyland, that I didn't get to do. So basically like propelled me forward to try to like do comics. And so I knew I wanted to work some kind of story with that in there. Cause also in the end, she was so sweet. She sent me messages and all kinds of things. I mean, it was just incredible that she was just so nice right there at her end times. And so caring for everybody around her. So I thought that was like kind of important to work into like what we were doing and passing that on, kind of like just be a good person kind of deal. So
yeah, no, that's an amazing, as you were telling me, I was kind of flipping through the book to see if you had a dedication in here. Because I can imagine
dedication
that's
is to my wife though, is to my wife, my mom, and my brothers. Yeah. I did not really. This happened. My aunt passed, I'd say maybe a dozen or so years ago. And then we wrote the book maybe like 8 years after that or something. So
okay.
it was a quite a bit away. But
so let me ask you guys, and I know in the last 8 months or so there have been no conventions, but when you guys are out, whether at conventions or maybe just local shops, has anybody come up and talked to you guys about the story, like somebody that's read it, about the story and about the impact the story may have had on them, whether it was on them or a loved one? Has that interaction happened with you guys yet?
Yeah, actually, that has been like, that's one of the best, I think, experiences about doing comics in general. So I'm not the greatest artist, I like to tell stories. So like for me, the art is the vehicle to tell the story, so I basically try to come up with a style that I think like best fits the story that we're telling and roll with that. And, so I'm not trying to like showboat or anything like that and be like, oh yeah, look how awesome my art is. I think that kind of stuff sort of reserves itself for covers and such. When you're in the interiors, your job is just to tell the story. So, whenever someone comes up to me at a convention, and this has happened quite a few times now, because like you said earlier, we actually released through Webtoon first. And we had about like 6,500 subscribers or something like that by the end.
Wow.
And we had like 150,000 people read it. And there were definitely people at conventions that would just come up when I put my banner up, and they go, oh, you did Last Stop. Like I read that, and then go into it about like the characters or a situation or like, asking me about what we were going to do next and all that stuff. And I think that's like the best part about it. Literally, like when someone's enthralled and touched by the story and that's like what they want to talk to you about, I feel like I've given them something that they now like take with them,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And, Trey, do you have like a convention story or whether it's, at an in-store signing or anything like that where, somebody has mentioned the book to you or their effect on it or their impact on it?
Not alone. I mean, I have been there for a few of those convention things where people like come up and like talk to us or whatever. I don't get out much either, so there's but yeah, I've talked to a couple of people that have read it after the trade dropped, and I mean, nothing as like poignant as talking about how that part of the story like either affected them or reminded them. But I mean, good, positive feedback.
That's good. I mean, a lot of people. So actually, before I keep talking about what you guys are working on, Trey, let me ask you. And granted, Hoyt, I talked to Trey. I said next time that you guys are here, or next time you're in the area, we'll definitely bring you out to the store for a signing as well. But it seemed like people were really excited to talk to you about the book when you were out here, Trey. People were really excited. We actually crunched the numbers when it was all said and done. And your book, I think, was the best-selling independent book of that day. So that's neat.
Really?
There we go. Giving you some news there.
High five,
was
dude.
the best independent. But yeah, what was it like for you to actually, get back out in front of fans again? Because I know you guys probably was Free Comic Book Day here the first time that you were able to get back out in front of people with the book since convention season came to a halt?
I did. We did a signing when the issue 1 came out back in November.
Okay.
But we weren't ever really able to do anything when the trade came out because it hit right when the pandemic hit. So like our book got pushed back until like, when Diamond shut down, like all that stuff. So it didn't come out until June. And yeah, it's like what Hoyt was saying recently, like, it came out in June, but like still like 2/3 of the comic book shops in the country hadn't really like opened back up yet.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we just kind of hit that really weird spot. So yeah, this is absolutely the first time I've been able to like get out with it or anything like that. And it was great kind of seeing people be excited and like responsive to it, like when you kind of pitch them on it and everything. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. We're glad that we were able to have you out. So then that leads me to, you've talked a little bit about, the release and everything like that. I'm not sure how many of our viewers or anybody that even has the book, unless they've actually talked to you, are aware that you actually started it through Kickstarter and then got picked up through Scout. Talk a little bit about that process and what that was like for you guys.
You want to take it?
Yeah. Sure. I'll start and then I'll pass it off to you.
All right.
So we had like sort of a process in mind of what we wanted to do, which was that we knew we wanted to do to sort of bypass publishers at first to just get the idea out there, which was the whole webtoons thing, and sort of build up some readership for it and see if people were actually even interested in the story at all, period. And then once we it ran its course and it was getting towards the end, we decided, okay, let's go ahead and run a Kickstarter just to get some books in our hands so that we can then go out and like start pushing our own thing. And once we had the Kickstarter done, which we successfully funded, which was awesome, super humbled by it.
Yeah.
I actually reached out to some publishers that I work with because I also do interiors, covers, and all kinds of other stuff for various publishers. And so I reached out to a handful of all of them, and actually they were all pretty interested in the story. But Scout was the most interested, to be honest. Like they were like the most like excited about it, And so I think that like excitement got back to us, and we were like, okay, like, it's marginally like everybody's interested, but these guys seem to be really interested. So let's go with them, kind of thing. And I had spoken to my friend Walter Osley, who had a couple of books through them before. And, he was like, dude, they're awesome. And I actually knew one of the guys who was running the company beforehand too. I'd worked with his brother randomly.
Okay.
So it just happened to work out, kind of thing. And it was nice because, we had originally planned to do a lot more copies via the Kickstarter. But once that happened and we had the publisher deal going, we decided like, let's hook up the people on the Kickstarter extra, give them like a huge book, special cover, all that stuff. And then do something different for the actual store release and everything.
For the publication through Scout, right?
Yeah. So.
And actually, Trey, I believe, brought out a few. Actually, one we gave away as a free comic book raffle as well. But he had the I don't have it with me because we gave it away. But the Kickstarter trade dress, which actually felt. Are there extra pages in that Kickstarter trade dress? Because it felt a little bit heavy.
Oh yes, yeah.
There
are 100 pages longer than the.
Whoa. I didn't even notice it was okay.
There's like a 10-page extra story that ended up being a Kickstarter exclusive. It's kind of like a little bit of a prequel kind of thing that we did. And then, tons of pinups from artists and stuff. And then we did a little, when we were doing the webtoon, we started tagging certain episodes with a little like mini comic strip based on our Agents of the Fist. Little organization in the book. So it's just goofy little things we did with that. So we chucked all that stuff in there too. Like Hoyt was saying, we really wanted to make that book feel special, and it is special. And the fact that we limited the print run, so like there will only be 250 prints of that book, like period. And then I think we lost some of those thanks to UPS even.
That's right. Oh, really? That's right.
Yeah. They scuffed the crap out of
them. Oh man.
With it. They were just
so see, even the indie publishers have what we call here diamond problems. But if you guys, it's UPS. But it's nice to know that you guys feel the struggle as well.
Oh, I feel the struggle. Yeah, I worked. So I also worked in a comic shop for like 6 years in Tallahassee, and dealing with Diamond and their shipments wasn't always the funnest. You know,
you've seen the boxes. You see the box looks great. The box comics inside, not so much.
Not so much, right. right. And we had a little mix up because the store I used to work at was called at the time Comics and Games of Tallahassee. But I think there was a Comics and Games of Tennessee somewhere in Tennessee. So we would actually like get their boxes shipped to us, and they would get their. It was like so confusing. It was like so.
That's funny you say that. I'll do a quick little like 1 second story, and then we'll get back to you guys. We're right next to a Barnes and Noble. Trey can tell you. He knows the layout of everything. We're right next to a Barnes and Noble, next to a mall. For some whatever reason, probably because it's just books. Barnes and Noble was getting our shipments for like a month and a half. So like Wednesday or Tuesday, the books would be shipped to Barnes and Noble. And then Wednesday, the UPS guy would come back and be like, oh yeah, these accidentally went to Barnes and Noble. And that was like a month and a half of just our books being at Barnes and Noble for some reason. So I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
I don't know if that's a UPS problem or Diamond. I don't know who's dropping the ball.
And there
on
was
that,
stickers on it. It had our address, but it said Barnes and Noble, and I was like, all right,
right. No, I felt the same. Like ours was Florida, and the other was Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like you would think, you can. But hey, whatever,
So Hoyt, I know that you mentioned that you've worked with plenty of other publishers before. So I'm going to ask this to Trey. Was Last Stop your first published printed work?
Yeah, that's the Last Stop's definitely me coming out of the gate. I feel like I started the game late. There's hundreds of pages were written prior to Last Stop, and they were all trash. Like Last Stop's really the first thing. I'm super proud of Last Stop, and like the fact that that's my first like officially published book is it's a really good feeling.
So I think go ahead.
Go
Please,
ahead.
Please.
Go
you got
ahead,
a question? Hit me. No. Hit me.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
My ADHD has already that thought is gone, man. You gotta go ahead and ask the question now. That thought is out the window.
So I know when you guys. So let me ask you, because this has always been interesting to me. I know when you guys kickstarted it, you did it for a trade, but when you guys went through Scout, they did you guys as part of Nonstop. Which, if people aren't familiar with Nonstop, they released the issue 1. It is a full issue, but then there is no issue 2, 3, or 4. You go straight to the graphic novel. What was that process like? Did they ask you guys? Did they say, "Hey, we think your book would be perfect for Nonstop"? How did that process go?
If I remember, they did volunteer that they thought it would be a really good book for the Nonstop stuff. But we were kind of already interested in trying to do things differently anyway. I think like when we sit back with the comics we want to create and everything and publish, we want to take the risk off of the two parties that take the biggest risk, which is the shops and us as the creators. I think like publishers and distributors, they really don't take as much of a risk as we do, in our time and our investment with everything. So one of the ideas behind it was, when they told it to us, why it piqued our interest so much, was that, basically you could sell a sampler of it, and get people a taste of it. And if they're interested, then they can get just the entire story without having to wait. Like that, I think, is like one of the best parts, is that like for $4, you can read that first issue. And if you don't like it, well, you're out $4 and you don't have to go any further, Yeah. But if you're like interested in it, then it's another $20 and you get the whole thing, like no questions asked. You get beginning to end, no gaps. And I thought that was like a really fascinating setup for it. I hadn't really seen that done before in comic shops. And I think they were trying to circumnavigate the problem with distributing, because I know, once again, from working in a comic shop, you have to order things months in advance before it comes out. Yeah. And you have to order basically issue 2 before you sell issue 1, and issue 3 by the time, right before issue 1 even comes out. So that
Hoyt is speaking my language right now.
Yeah. So that to me is like such a weird, difficult like thing to navigate, because you don't know. You're operating purely on speculation for the first 3 issues until you know what's happening. And then by the time issue 4 comes out, well, you could have people that are now interested in it, but you weren't ready to order as many of issue 4 as you were, or you under-ordered 2, or you under-ordered 3, or you over-ordered. And
it's essentially a science, right? It becomes a science.
Yeah. You have to like do some serious guesswork on that and really know your customers, And so that to me is like so difficult. Having the single issue and then the full trade, I think, was much more palpable for me in that instance, where it's just like, okay, here it is. You like this one. Did you like it? It came out. Okay, cool. Let's put in the orders and you'll get the whole thing in a few months, kind of thing. Something about that like spoke to me as like an ex-comic shop worker, or I was like, that could work really well, so.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but like, so as on the retailer end, and Trey's been in the store now. It's been redesigned to feature a lot of indie and self-published books. One of my biggest hurdles of ordering indie and self-published books is, okay, I might order 10 or 20 copies of issue 1, and hopefully, all 10 or 20 sold. But not every person is going to come up to me and tell me, hey, I loved it, or hey, I hated it. So now I have to figure out how many I'm doing of issue 2. And hopefully I hit that right number. And then I have to do it with 3. So what you just, like exactly how you just described it, I just have to guess how many I want of this, which is usually a high number because it's a number 1. Like you said, some people may love it, some people may hate it. And then after that, after that, all I have to point them is here, as opposed to 2, 3, 4, 5, like, you know, and I do think it's genius, especially for independent books. And Trey, just because I know Hoyt was the main one that talked about, do you kind of agree? Did you see did you feel like that worked out for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really intriguing idea, like the idea that, because like going back to the having to solicit so far in advance, the trade didn't come out the next month. You like the book comes out and then they went into solicitation for the trade. So like you get the book, you actually have the issue 1 in your hand, and only then do they open up the 3-month long like period of like, oh, hey, now we're going to start soliciting for this. So like there is, I heard a little bit of murmurs of people like, man, where's like the rest of it? Like I want like there, I mean, of course, like with anything, there's people that prefer the old way versus like people trying something new and everything like that. But no, I was totally on board. Yeah, they kind of pitched us that when they were giving us the contract and everything. Like, this is what we're planning on doing with it. We think it'd be perfect for this. And yeah, I thought that was a really cool idea and definitely wanted to like throw in with that.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I love what Scout's doing with it, and I think I think it works for independent books. Yeah. It's always tough to keep managing, especially when they're monthly, occasionally bi-monthly, to keep managing, you know, who wants the book and things like that. So I think that's a genius what Scout's doing.
Right.
Now let me, so
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Hoyt. Go ahead before you forget.
I think honestly, like, avoids that tough spot too, where you don't have to worry about investing into an independent book and it not finishing. You know, like, I think that's also like, can also be a problem, you know, where it's like, hey,
give me more things to worry about. I wasn't even worried about that before. Like now it's like an extra thing I got to worry about. I got sorry. But, so
I mean, it happens with mainstream books too. So
it does. I mean, we literally just got a book today or tomorrow, and I'm not gonna say the name of it. It's by one of the big two. Came out today. The last issue that came out was in December of 2019. So that's it's supposed to be a monthly book. It's supposed to be monthly.
Yeah. But it came out in a month, you know, in one of the months of the year.
So the book is Last Stop. It is relatively new because of COVID and the release dates and everything, but you guys also have 2 webtoons you're working on, or that you guys are currently doing. Well, one that was the short story, the other one that's literally, I think you guys released an episode like yesterday. Tell me a little bit about webtoons, because a lot of our followers don't exactly know what webtoons is, and then 2, tell us what your projects are.
You take the webtoon thing, Hoyt, because you're the one that sold it on me. So
okay. So webtoons is basically, if you wanted to think of something like akin to like your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Instagrams, but specifically for webcomics. So it's like a webcomics publishing hub. They started in Korea, I believe, and then expanded to Japan and a few other places. Line, for people that don't know, Line, the core company that runs Webtoon, is essentially Korea's Google. So they basically started putting out web comics. Now they have like featured comics, which are comics that they pay for, but the large majority of all the comics on the site, which I think are like 99,000 some odd comics at this point,
it's ridiculous.
It's a ridiculous number, is user uploaded. So basically anyone can create an account, format your comic in the format that you think would work best on the site, put it up on there, and let people read it for free. What enticed me so much about it was that there was already a really strong reader base there before it even became popular here in the States. Like, right as soon as it came over, there were already millions of users on the site.
Okay.
So there was like nowhere else that I could find that like basically I could put my comic in front of tons and tons and tons of people right out of the gate without anybody knowing who I am. Okay. You know, that was a big selling point for me. And so, you know, to me, I'm like, okay, you know, I mean, with business in general, you know, you go to where the audience is, you know, so if they are there and they want comics, well, then let me go over there and give them comics, you know? And I think it also gave people the same thing with like that enticed me about the nonstop thing, where it gives you a risk-free trial at it. You can just go on there and read it. You know, like it doesn't cost anything to sign up. You don't even have to sign up to read. So you can just go on the site, read it, see if you like it. You know, now the format is different. It is like long, you know, long scroll.
You scroll essentially. So there's no, you know, splash pages or things like that.
Right. But yeah, those were like the key factors I think that got me interested in doing something like that, you know, because we were already doing actually Last Stop on our own website when we had the Just Comics group, which is a group of like storytellers that we got together, and we started running it on there. I think like, and here's the testament of the truth of that is that like, I think we had gotten up to our height when we were doing it. We had run Last Stop on there for about a year. We were getting about like, I think 500, 600 readers a week, which was awesome for our own website, just like putting it on there. But then when we switched to Webtoon, after about like 2 or 3 months running it on there, we had gotten up to that same number. So it was like just this where I was like, okay, you know, at first you're worried because you switch platforms, and then the readership just drops, right? Because like you're now in a
and you're like, oh man, we're going to formula. We're going back to
from
formula.
scratch. Yeah, exactly. And then we just built it up from there, and we got going. Luckily, there was like a contest going on at the time too that brought people's attention to us too. You know, we did get attention to some of like the Webtoon staff that decided to put us on the front page, which was like totally awesome.
That's
it was huge. So yeah, all of those things like sort of worked into why we went with Webtoons.
That's awesome, man. And then what? Tell me, I did get a chance to check out Mongrel the other day as I was scrolling through. But tell me a little bit about those two things that you guys have up on Webtoons.
Trey?
Yeah, I'll take it. Okay, so before we get to Mongrel, Seasons Change, again, was for they did a little short story contest earlier this year. We kind of threw our hat into that, but again, pandemic stuff happened, and we kind of didn't finish it on time for the contest.
Right.
But we went ahead and
days after the contest was over. That was on me. That was on me. Nobody else. Trey had written it. I screwed that up. Sorry.
It's this cool little. It was a themed contest, so not only was it a short story, but you either chose heartwarming category or like mind bending category.
Okay.
So we kind of wanted to. We played in the mind bending category a little bit, but we ended up telling, and I think it was based on Hoyt's dream that we like molded into a story. Yeah. It's like it's this like kind of weird love story, but it's got this like really cool little like thriller aspect to it. And so we had a lot of fun telling that. And so like that's completely done. That's in the can. It's a 5-part thing because that was the parameters of the contest. So it's about the size of like what a one shot would be, like a slightly longer one shot.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
And it's broken into 5 episodes on Webtoon.
On Webtoon, correct? Yes. And then for Mongrel, that is our ongoing. We plan on doing Mongrel for a while, I think. But it's about a girl who accidentally adopts a demon dog and ends up getting magical girl powers out of it. So it's this weird kind of goofy. Like we've been throwing around a lot of like this is what it's like a mix between kind of stuff. Definitely some Sailor Moon action in there, but like Sailor Moon mixed with like Spawn because you got kind of like that weird supernatural kind of stuff going on. And then we're kind of trying to trap it all in the kind of like goofy world feel of something along the lines of like Adventure Time. So it's very we are going for like a younger audience with this. This is very like young adult territory we're kind of playing with right now.
Okay. And where do you guys see Mongrel potentially, getting published, like getting printed? Do you maybe see? Yes. Oh, I see. Hoyt was like really excited.
We're definitely doing the rinse and repeat thing. Like it worked for Last Stop, so why wouldn't we do it again? Give it away for free. Get people excited about it. Kind of build that fan base. And then, we'll see where the cards fall. We've kind of played around with the idea of doing a Kickstarter for it. Once we have we're already pretty far into the series. We've got what would be considered like volume 1, kind of in the can already. So we're toying with the idea of Kickstarter. We're floating the idea of like working with a publisher on it. But yeah, absolutely. The end goal is get that thing published and get it released.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, you first of all, I mean, Trey, and Hoyt by now, you should know, you'll have our support wherever you publish it. You can publish it on some toilet paper. We'll probably still find a spot for it on the wall.
Toilet paper will be a high ticket item though if we do that. Are you sure you want to? Your customers
I'm trying to keep your print costs low, But So that's awesome though that you guys, can do that, and like especially like you said, it's kind of rinse and repeat, that you guys have successfully done it once. So you can you have that formula that you can kind of be like, okay, we have this many issues or episodes as it is on there in the can, and this adds up to this many issues. And honestly, I think there's a hole in the market right now for independent young adult and kids books. Everything independent feels like it needs to be very gritty and adult, and I'm not against it, but there is just a little bit of a hole there for things that teenagers and young adults can actually enjoy. So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think you hit it right on the head. That's like a lot of what we were after when we started crafting the story. And the idea is like, okay, we did Last Stop for like, 15 to 25-year-old us, and then like we went back and we're like, well, how do we do something for like 10 to 15-year-old us, and so that's just like how it was born and how we went about it, and how we crafted to do that. We were weird kids, each in our own different ways.
Well, I'll tell you this, because I actually texted Trey this the other day, and with that I'll set up here for the end of the show. But Trey left a few posters here in the store after his signing for the webtoons. And after checking out Mongrel, I gave one to my girlfriend, who is a middle school teacher, and she's putting it up in her room. She actually takes comic books into her classroom, and when there's downtime and things like that, she gives them to her kids to read. So I thought that was good, free. I just love you guys, so I would love to support. But if kids, we can get, if we can get some extra kids reading it, that's the intention. We want to get kids loving comic books, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to take care of the next generation, because they're the ones coming up. That's what we felt about that too. Why we wanted something for that age, because we noticed the same thing you were saying, is that like, there's just not enough for that age group. I was looking at my nieces and nephews, and I'm like, okay, what am I creating for them? Really, I made this for an older, when they get old enough, they'll enjoy Last Stop or whatever. But what am I making for them now? Especially my nieces. So like, it was one of those things like, okay, let me do something that like could actually, that they would be interested in, and like could tap that,
So before I wrap up the show, Steven's saying he needs a Mongrel hardcover edition. When can we start the Kickstarter for that?
Fair enough. We'll figure it out, and we'll let y'all know. Like it's on the horizon, man. Like we are.
Man, if you guys want to put a level on your Kickstarter for like hardcover Trey and Hoyt collection, and just put Last Stop and Mongrel in there, like I'll buy it. Like I'm not, the Walker Silva collection, like
taking notes, dude. It's not a bad idea. No, I appreciate the support greatly, man. I mean, honestly, I think at the end of the day, it's like I said earlier, retailers and creators take like the biggest risk in our industry, and I think we're not like taken care of enough. So we try to work with publishers in order to ensure that, and like set it all up for everybody. I think like that to me, I think is like where our future lies, is like creating the books and getting them in the hands of the people, and that's where we lie in those two, so.
Yeah, no, and I actually told Trey this. Trey fell into my lap. Literally, we were first of all, we started the collective initiative about 2 months ago with one self-published book. We did one self-published book. It sold out, so that was great for us. Then I'm good friends with David Byrne from Scout, so I reached out to him. I said, hey, we're doing free comic book day. If you know anybody that might want to shoot us some free stuff that we can give away in raffles or whatever. First guy that responds to me is Trey, who's like, I live like right next to the store. like I'm thinking, okay, maybe somebody will pay postage, we'll pay a couple bucks to have it. Man, Trey's like, I got a box that I could drop off at the store. And I'm just like, wow, this. So it's just meant to be, and now we have both the trade and the single issue in our collective initiative area. Both of them are signed by, where is it? Signed by Trey.
That's the money signature right there. That's all you need.
And then once we can get Mr. Hoyt Silva back over here to Central Florida, we'll have him sign the books. Also, I've talked to Trey, whenever there's an opportunity to have you guys both here in the area, we could totally arrange it for just there to be a Last Stop signing. We would love to have both of you guys here in the store for a couple hours with our customers. So keep that in mind, Hoyt.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I'd be honored. We'll definitely set something up. Like, I visit Trey a couple of times a year anyway down there. So we will definitely set something up. That would be a lot of fun.
Perfect. So next time you visit Trey, we're expecting a stop It may not
All
be
right.
the last stop, but we need to stop here.
But it
at
will be
Collective.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, the book, just so everybody remembers, the book is Last Stop. The writer is Trey Walker. The artist is Hoyt Silva. Both of them are Floridians at heart, at least. Trey is literally from like right down the road. I could probably throw a rock and hit Trey in the head like right now, honestly. And so we have both the single issue, which is $3.99 regular comic price, and then you got yourself a trade paperback for $19.99, very thick, and they're signed. So thank you guys. We appreciate you guys. Wishing you the best of luck on Mongrel and the best of luck on anything else that you guys work on. We will definitely have you guys back on the show. I know at some point when we're kickstarting that Mongrel, we'll have you guys back.
Let's do it, man. Thank you so much for having us, man. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for all the love.
Yep. Best of luck going forward, guys. And we can't wait to have you back.
Later.
So thank you for joining us, guys. That has been the 10th episode of the Collective Spotlight. We will be back tomorrow with our Collective Hump Day Happy Hour auction. I want to send a very big thank you again to Trey Walker and Hoyt Silva. Their book is Last Stop by Scout. And actually, before I send you away, Trey, I know you're not ready. You weren't ready for this.
Yo.
Can you drop the link to the webtoons in the comments so people?
Yes. Do I comment through the
Facebook? You could just do
I'll just do it on Facebook. Okay.
Yeah. Just because I want to make sure people get that, and I'm sorry for throwing you up there like that.
Okay, let me just pull this up real quick.
But yeah, Trey is going to drop the link to the webtoons on there. We do have both issues, and we actually have a couple of posters. Trey, actually, speaking of. Whenever you get a chance, we need you to come back into the store so you can sign those posters.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I'll swing by. I can swing by tomorrow afternoon, actually.
Cool. I'll bring them all in, and then unfortunately, Hoyt. I feel like Hoyt's left that. Hoyt's just like laughing back there.
You're fine.
But,
I was just laughing back there. I'm just
maybe we'll mail a poster over to Hoyt so we can get one over here.
Fair enough.
We got to give Hoyt some love. Hoyt's been awesome. Hoyt was talking my language today.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, thanks guys. I'm gonna leave the stream open for a little bit so that Trey can throw the link in there. But I really appreciate you guys being on today.
No, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yep. Take it easy, guys. So yeah, thank you again for joining us on the Collective Spotlight. Please, 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 if you guys can, support these guys. We have the book Last Stop. Trey went ahead and put the link to the webtoons right there. I have read Mongrel. It's great for adults like me and Steven. It's great for little ones that are in teenage age, 12 to 15. So definitely check these guys out. And thank you again from all of us at the Collective. I've been Danny Morales. Steven Spivak's been annoying Brendan out there, and Brendan Boyle's trying his hardest not to kill him. So take it easy, and we will see y'all tomorrow.